Hello and welcome to the Renewed You Online Summit series, where you'll discover the path to inner mastery to create a life and a business that you deeply desire. My guest today is an awesome woman. She is so amazing, and I can't wait for her to share with you. This is Karen Briscoe, and Karen is top 100 fellow realtor in the Keller Williams franchise of over 180,000 agents. Top 100, guys. She is amazing. And Karen is also the author of Flip Time, Love Life. And I am so excited for her to share this journey with you today. Karen, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about you. And I can't wait to start the questions on Flip Time, Love Life.
Well, there's so much to share, and I'm really thrilled to be here on the summit about renewing you because I feel like it's a continuous thing. Actually, the Flip Time Love Life is a heroine's journey story.
Mm-hmm.
There are hero's journey stories as well, but this story is a heroine's journey, and it's told as a tale. And the reason why tale, just like a lot of legends and myths, are told in story format, because then you're more likely to connect with the character. If I told my story, you go, yeah, that worked for Karen, not going to work for me. And so the heroine's journey, Joseph Campbell is the kind of father of the heroine's journey, is often in the movies that we see. The most classic is The Wizard of Oz with Dorothy. Mm-hmm. And you may recall Dorothy had both an interior unrest and an exterior event that happened that propelled her into the land of Oz. She was unhappy living in Kansas, right? But she also had a tornado. So sometimes we have tornadoes in our life. You know, we lose a job, a health event, relationship ending. Sometimes we have those tornadoes, twisters. And sometimes, though, we're just unrest, right? And that's what happened with me, is that I had achieved a high-level success as a real estate agent, mega team. I run a mega team. We sell, just to give you perspective, about $100 million worth of real estate every year, about 100 homes.
Baby.
Yeah. So it's a lot of houses. Flipping a lot of burgers. And I happily married my husband over 3 decades, have 2 children who are living their life. And I looked around and I go, well, okay, this is it. I mean, I there must be something more. And it brought me back to the psychology classes that I'm sure many people remember, of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Yeah.
And Abraham Maslow says that people behave based on these needs, and they start out physiologically. So your just basic food, shelter, safety. And then you work onto your esteem needs, which are also personal esteem, but also relationships, and then self-actualization. Well, so what happens if you get to the top of the pyramid and you run out of time, which happens with a lot of people? Or what happens if you are successful and you have achieved what many people feel to be success, and yet you still feel like there's something missing?
Yeah.
That there's meaning missing. And this is the heroine's journey, or the hero's journey. This is this call to adventure. Can be a call to contribution. It can be a call to creativity. So I felt that call. And the call started about 3 or 4 years ago. And I was in a coaching program, a women's coaching program. Now, I had done productivity coaching, so I have productivity in spades. I know how to be productive. What I found with the executive coaching or life coaching is that, and many people I'm sure have heard this, that your business will only achieve at a level that you personally, and that's why this summit is so great, right?
Absolutely.
Because it really is an inner job. It's kind of like Dorothy. At the end, right? Don't you remember? She had it in her all along.
All along. Absolutely.
All along. She could have accessed it earlier, and yet she didn't know how. And so when she went on the journey, the Yellow Brick Road and going to Oz, she met helpers, mentors along the way, right? The
Yeah.
lion and the tin man and the
Yeah.
scarecrow each brought gifts to her. But
Those
she
are her
also,
coaches. Those
those are
are
her coaches, but she also had Glinda, the good witch,
which.
was a mentor, but she had some people that were also the challenges of life, and that
Yeah.
is, the wicked witch and the winged monkeys, and even Toto played a role. Sometimes he took her places that she didn't really want to go, right? To
Yeah.
save him. And so if you think about all those things in this journey, this heroine's journey, I felt like I went through all of them.
Mhm.
And the first real epiphany I had was I was at this coaching retreat, and at the last day, we were all supposed to share what was stopping us from doing what we said we wanted to do.
Mhm.
And what I said I wanted to do was write a book. And many
Mhm.
people told me I should. I already had the content, and I kept not being able to do it because I kept saying I didn't have enough time or money.
Mhm.
And those are classic.
Yeah, those are your those are the excuses that most people use.
Yes.
Well,
And,
Karen,
and I had them too.
yeah, I'm gonna pause you for a minute because I want to take the audience back to the beginning. We were talking yesterday in our conversation, and we were talking about possibility, right? So I want to make sure they get that this is possible for anybody wherever they are. So this summit is for women, right? Yeah, it's for women who are in corporate America, but women in corporate America also started where you started, right? Women who are entrepreneurs also started where you started. So tell us a little bit more about
Oh,
like.
where that came, that began. Oh, we're talking about the beginning of time. So I was predominantly, I was predominantly a stay-at-home mom. My husband's career was quite a lot of travel and demanding, and I wanted to. I'll have to say it wasn't my skill set. So although I love my children, it wasn't like my natural bent. I'm naturally a businesswoman. That's clear now. Looking back, I wish I would have known that I was going to be so successful, and I probably wouldn't have wasted so many years going, when are you going to grow
Right,
up?
right.
Uh, when I decided to re-enter the workforce, I actually got a full-time job in commercial real estate because that was my background before out of college. And I quickly discovered that the field wasn't interesting to me because it was very regimented.
Mhm.
And I really have clearly an entrepreneurial bent. And so I had my license, and somebody said to me, well, why don't you try residential? And it turned out that it really was a great, for my, I have what I call the hard and soft side, right? So I have the hard side, the knowledge of market markets and how they behave and negotiations and strategy and all that. But I also have this kind of what they call a soft side, and that's relationship skills. And I love people and helping them. And so I combined them and
Mm.
quickly became successful. This was in 2002. It actually wasn't a great time to be in real estate because it was after 9/11,
Yeah.
and I'm in the Northern Virginia, DC metro region, and real estate shut down because people were so unsure about the future. And yet I quickly became successful and caught the attention of a top producer in the nation. She was number 10 at the time, and she asked me to become her partner in '06.
Mm.
Well, the real estate was robust in '06, as you may recall, but in '08, she was ill, so she passed away. It happened to be the same month the financial markets crashed.
Wow.
And so all this just was falling apart around me, a son in college, a daughter on the way to college, and a lot of expenses, and going, what do I do now?
Mm.
Because everything that we had built this business on really was no longer sustainable. So rebuilding that business, I brought in a junior partner. Lizzie Conroy has been my partner now for over a decade. She's not junior anymore, but junior in age. She's gone to the next generation down, but not in experience. She's a very experienced agent. We set about rebuilding, and what often happens when people achieve a high level of success, particularly after meeting with those, what some people would say setbacks, which at the
Mhm.
time felt like it. I mean, I almost left the business. And many people do. This industry does attract a lot of people, and yet only um, 14% make
Yeah.
it 5 years.
If
So it
that
has,
much. If
yeah,
that much.
yeah, it's a very high attrition business. So, but there was a lot of attrition when the market crashed,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's what set me. So then I built back up again, and I was back up to what people thought was success,
Mm-hmm.
and yet at the same time, I felt like there was something missing.
Mm.
And so at this retreat, the epiphany I had, this was my first major epiphany on my journey, was that the only one stopping me was me.
Yeah.
Because I kept looking to the exterior for things to change, people to change, situations to change, the market to change. I don't know. I just thought, okay, when everything changes, then I'm going to do it, right? When my son graduates from college, when this happens, when this happens. And that was huge because I actually found that to be extremely empowering because I can change me. I mean,
Isn't
really,
that beautiful?
truthfully, yeah. Isn't that amazing? That is the one message that if I could do it, you can do it too. I was like, oh, well, that it isn't money and time. It's
Mm-mm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
and I can change me.
Yeah.
And so to be authentic and true to myself, I
Mm-hmm.
had to do some things that
Mm-hmm.
set about, because back to not having enough time or money, I had to
Mm-hmm.
create time, make the time
Mm-hmm.
to do what I said I wanted to do.
Right.
And that was the second epiphany. And that was, well, actually there was three right in a row. So the second one was a time hack I picked up out of, so Gretchen Rubin wrote a book called The Happiness Project. She researched, studied people, asked them what would make them happy.
Okay.
And many people said, oh, well, when this happens, I'll be happy. When this happens, I'll be happy. And then she's like, well, why don't you do it? And people, again, predominantly said time or money. So then she wrote this book called Better Than Before, which is habits, on
Mm-hmm.
how to set up the habits so that then you will be authentic to yourself and do what you say you want to do. And one of the time hacks is to use daylight savings time.
Oh, really? I've never heard that one before. What was that?
Well,
Okay.
so the common one is the fall back in the fall. So your
Mm-hmm.
body clock is already on that hour. And
Mm-hmm.
I am not a morning person. I want everybody to know this was
This is a
not
stretch for
easy.
you at 10 o'clock. Okay.
Yes. So, but I felt like I had to do something different, right? I mean,
Mhm.
what's the definition of insanity or stupidity? Is doing the same thing over and over again,
Oh,
expecting a
yeah.
different result. It's
Yep.
like, I got to do something different because otherwise I will be another year down the road and not have written my book. And then I
Yeah.
will be future self will look at past self and go, why didn't present self do something different? That's something, another time travel, time hack. You
Yeah.
look to future self, you say, future self, what do you want? And then you look to past self, go, oh, you didn't do it before. Well, that means
Do it.
you get to do it now.
I love this.
So that was the second epiphany, was creating this time hack. Now, you don't have to wait for daylight savings time. You can
Okay.
actually do this every time you get on an airplane and the time changes. You can even hack your own self, right? And just say, oh, I'm
Oh,
going to
like
get
the
my,
international travel, like if you
all
go
right,
to a different
or even one time
time
zone.
zone.
I mean,
Okay.
the idea is it's time
Mhm.
is a created thing.
Say that again.
Time is a created thing. And I didn't say that. That's Lao Tzu, which said it 2,500 years ago.
I
And he's,
know, but it's like the reason why I'm asking to repeat it. I'm going to ask you to repeat it again.
yes.
Time is a created thing. We don't get that though.
So
We
to
think that
say
time is set.
it's not, it's a created thing. And to say the rest of the quote from Lao Tzu is to say, I don't have time
Mhm.
is like saying, I don't want to. So the third epiphany was the idea of urgency.
Mhm.
And there is another book called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. That's kind of her famous book. But read Big
Mhm.
Magic because it talks about how in the universe there are ideas. And the
Mhm.
ideas will come to people. And I know
Mhm.
you've had this happen. I know you've had an idea and you didn't act on it. And you look later and somebody else did it.
Can
And
I just
you,
tell you? I'll share with you what it was because
Yeah.
it haunts me every day. I need to let it go. I know I'm working on it. In Newburgh, there is a mall, right? And about 20 years ago, I said to my husband, we need a high IHOP in this area. What's the problem? And I actually went through the whole thing and found out the information. And you know what I said? I didn't have the money. Honey child, do you know 6 years ago somebody put the IHOP right where I saw it?
You manifested it. Okay, so you did a time travel. You
Mhm,
look back to your past self
mhm,
and you said, I wish I had done this regret scenario. So when you have a idea,
mhm,
you can look to future self, you can time hack to future self and say, in the future, will I be glad I did it?
mhm,
And if the answer is yes,
mhm.
then that's where urgency happens.
Ah,
Okay. You can
mhm.
create your own
Own
urgency.
urgency. That's awesome. That's
And if you've had experiences like that, tap into it
awesome.
because that helps create that energy because it's
Hmm.
really energy, not time, that
Correct.
is the fundamental currency of high performance.
Whew.
It's
Mm.
energy. So
Yeah.
then where does the energy come from?
Hmm.
So this is where flip time comes in. It's all about time. In fact, I'm commissioning a song to be written and played. It's all about time because this
Oh,
is all
really?
about
That's
time. Yeah.
awesome, Karen.
So flip time is to flip the pyramid
Okay.
and start with self-actualization.
Okay.
So for me, it was writing the book. Once
Hmm.
I started being authentic to myself
Hmm.
and what myself wanted
Want
and
it.
fed
Hmm.
me and
Hmm.
energized me,
Hmm.
then everything else found a way to get done. I'm telling you, it's like,
Yeah.
I know you've seen the big rocks
Hmm.
illustration.
Hmm.
That you put the big rocks in first because if you put
First.
the little rocks in
Hmm.
first, then it
Hmm.
fills up the space.
Hmm.
But there's several phenomena that happen when you flip time and you put self-actualization first.
Hmm.
Because you will have higher esteem, you will feel better about yourself, you will
Hmm.
have better relationships.
Hmm.
The people around you will benefit from the fact that you are living the life you are called to live,
Hmm.
right? Because it's the living life that you are feeling either obligation or burden or duty or responsibility is often not as authentic and it's often a burden.
Burden.
So you will
Hmm.
be living the life, you will be in the relationships that will then be I the relationships around me, everybody has benefited by
Hmm.
my choosing.
Hmm.
And then you will be actually more productive. So it's sometimes counterintuitive. It's a paradigm shift your brain has to make.
Hmm.
But if you think about it, when you are happy and successful, you are going to achieve at a much higher level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the idea is to put it first. So then back to many times people say, well, I don't have enough time. And that's where the 5 minute success came in.
Okay. Tell us about
So,
that.
so 5 minute success, the first book was Real Estate Success in 5 minutes a day. I had this idea and I was doing a lot of coaching and training and people and productivity. Because the one thing I
Hmm.
have is productivity and lead generation. I have that,
Hmm.
like I said, in spades. And I was like, what is stopping these people? They kept saying it was time. And I'm like, well, what if you could achieve a high level of success by investing 5 minutes a day? And everybody has 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Everybody says they can do 5 minutes a day. And so that's why the idea I had, back to the urgency,
Hmm.
was to write a business book, a real estate book, based on 5 minute a day readings, so like a daily reader. So
Hmm.
I took what's often inspiration and motivational literature like devotionals, but created it in a business format.
Interesting.
And what I found is I talking to hundreds of thousands of people that have done it, is it does several things. One, first of all, it breaks the inertia.
Yeah, I can
Okay, because
imagine.
people have are stuck in their
Mm-hmm.
old habits and behaviors. Back to, this is a habit formation thing.
Right.
Starting small and building up is a proven habit formation.
Mm-hmm.
Another habit is, or another aspect to it, is what's called Parkinson's Law. And Parkinson's Law states that time expands to the amount of that it's given, right? So the best analogy on that is you're getting ready to go out of town on a vacation. How productive are you the day before?
Very, because you got to get
Right.
everything done.
So you
You don't want to leave it
really,
undone.
so
Mm-hmm.
everybody's capable of this.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't necessarily implement it on a
They
daily
don't tap
basis.
into it. Yeah.
Right. So the tapping into this Parkinson's Law, starting
Mm-hmm.
small and building up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the idea of a daily has a lot of impact, because what happens is that a lot of, say, books and trainings and coaching, everything is very overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like, okay, that was all great, but I have no idea how to implement all that. So I'm like, tsunami.
Yeah.
So they don't do anything, right? So
Right.
nothing changes.
Mm-hmm.
Something small enough that is less than 5 minutes actually can implant in someone's brain easier. They're more likely to remember it. And then I use sticky stories to attach the concept so that it's not just information heavy, but it also has this inspirational component to it. So
yeah, and it sticks that way.
It sticks that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's several ways that this kind of learning, if you will, or training or bite size can benefit. And one is it can create a snowball. Like, so you'll start, it'll start building up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a ripple. Sometimes it's like the pebble that's thrown in the pond. Sometimes it ripples out. Sometimes it's a domino, though. I've known people like, it knocks over something that they're like going, oh my gosh,
Whoa.
then that does that, and then that does that, and then that does that, and then that does that. And so they've seen this kind of implementation of change. So the idea is to break it down enough so that you'll do it, so you'll start experiencing the benefits of it, and then you'll want to do more.
That's an amazing thing. And a lot of people are not really tapping into that because they think that it's not enough. The not enoughness comes out, right? I'm not spending enough time prospecting. I'm not spending enough time with my family. I'm not spending enough time. And again, like you said earlier, it comes down to time, right? So if we can manage ourselves in this manner that you're talking about with this 5 minute thing, then I think it will ultimately give so much more in life. So talk to us about, and I guess that's leading into the happiness. Remember we talked earlier?
Well, because I think that, well, not think, I mean, I feel it and other people feel the authenticity of it is what really is a key aspect to happiness. Because back to what Gretchen Rubin said that she studied was, people said they wanted to do things in their life, and they wanted things in their life that would make them happy. So there's this, in a lot of people's lives, there's this disconnect. And you and I talked briefly about this. So a lot of people are like, I'll be happy when. So they're creating the life of their dreams in their mind and their vision. But what happens oftentimes is they're sacrificing the now because they think it's an either or.
Right.
Like, I can't be happy now and happy in the future. And this really is, I have felt this. And so I think this is a common feeling. And the thing is kind of like Dorothy, you have it in you all along. You can be happy now, where you are now, as you and while you create the life of your dreams.
Nice.
So it's the vision, the success vision, but then success thinking. Okay, so you think about it, and then you also do the activities.
Right.
And
all in possibility. That's what I'm hearing. It's all in possibility. The creation in possibility, right, of the future.
So that's thinking amazing. Of the and
the and.
The and. It's like in improv, I taken improv classes, and one of the key aspects to improv
Mm-hmm.
is yes and.
Mm-hmm.
Many people think an or but, right? I mean, like it's
Wait
so
a minute.
common. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Karen, you're killing it today. You're killing it. Do you know? I'll share with you. I'm doing my devotion this morning, and do you know what it said? Yes, but. And it's talking about yes, but people and how to be compassionate, have empathy, and all that. And then in my writings, I wrote yes, and. So this is like full circle. I did that
Oh my
like
gosh. So we're you just
2 hours this morning. Could you not?
so if you think about it, what happens with yes but?
It's kind of like it's a stop. It sounds like a stop to me.
It's
Like a
negating
stop. Hmm?
everything before
Hmm.
before is on
Again.
negating.
Hmm.
Yes, and so the beautiful thing in improv is the idea is that you as a participant take whatever is given you,
Hmm.
thrown at you,
No matter
offered to
what.
you, and you say yes and.
Yeah. Mm.
What that does is it integrates the possibility.
Hmm.
You can take it in other directions. It doesn't have to stay in that direction.
Right.
That's the paradigm shift that is
Hmm.
really so many times people. I'm sure you've heard the the story of the. Uh, I'm trying to remember where it originally it comes from, but it's about a husband and wife and a son,
Hmm.
and they are farmers,
Hmm.
and wild horses show up on their farm, and their neighbors all say, "Oh, you're so lucky! Wild horses just showed up. You can, you'll now have more livestock." And he said, "Well, maybe yes, maybe no." And then the son went to go try to break one of the horses, and he broke his leg, and everybody said, "Oh,
Mm.
that's a calamity." And then he goes, "Maybe yes, maybe no." And then there was a war breaking out, and soldiers came to get the son to go to war, and he had a broken leg, so he didn't go. And everybody said, "Oh, that's good news?" And he said, "Maybe yes, maybe no." So the idea is if you could look at everything as the possibilities,
Everything, yes.
because I'm sure you've had many circumstances that I've had in my life, what
Hmm.
looked like a calamity or a challenge ended up birthing opportunity that you couldn't see until you went through it, right?
Absolutely.
So that's a yes and perspective.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Totally opens up possibility, totally opens up the space for something else to show up other than what you're used to seeing, right?
Yeah,
Because you
many
kind of like
things have to die.
invited.
Yeah.
Huh?
Many times something has to die or end for something else to be born in your
Right.
life.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about the hero's journey and the heroine's journey
Hmm.
is it's circular. So the idea is the heroine or the hero comes back.
Hmm.
When I say back, Dorothy returns to Kansas
Kansas.
bearing gifts. She's
Mm.
a new person, right? She
Yeah.
looks at her aunt and uncle in a new light because she has
Hmm.
gone on this journey. So the ideas of life as circular, that it's
Hmm.
a journey. So you come back bearing gifts, and then you set out on the adventure again, the call to creativity, the call to contribution, the call to whatever your call is.
Hmm.
Adventure is the most common. Then you go back out again because it's not a one and done.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an ongoing journey.
Journey.
And you may
Yes.
be at different places on the journey. Maybe you're one place in the journey on your health, and one place on the journey in your finances, and one place on your relationships, and one place in your business, and one place in your entrepreneurial endeavors. The journey but it's circular.
Absolutely. Circular and renewing, right? Because you get
Renewing, yes, because you come back renewed. How
renewed.
do you
Yeah.
think about the quests that the from the stories of uh, uh, in mythology? They go out on a quest and they come back,
Hmm.
with treasures and and renewed, and then they go back out again.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is good. This is so good, Karen. You have no idea. This is so good. Oh my gosh. So before we wrap up, is there any other little hacks? I know you talked about the time hack. Is there another hack you want to share with the audience that they could hack into their inner self? I know we kept saying it's always been in you. How do you have a hack for accessing what's already inside?
So we've talked a little bit about business and productivity, but this can be really used for a lot of things. When people say they want to get something done in their life, change to happen. So many people advocate for time blocking, and back to the whole idea of time as a created thing. So you really
Right.
don't block time. What I encourage is activity blocking.
Mm.
So determine whatever activity you're going to do. So the best story is Jerry Seinfeld, and he wanted to be a better comedian. And so he felt like to be a better comedian, he needed to write a joke every day.
Mm-hmm.
So he was very low tech and put a wall calendar on the wall. And every day he wrote a joke, he crossed off. Okay. So for myself, in big productivity in lead generation for real estate, but it also works for lead generation for writing books and having a podcast and all sorts of other activities, exercise, other things. Rather than time, block activities. So commit to a certain number of activities per working day, per week. So like a lot of people say, for example, that train for marathons, they track how many miles they're going to run in a week. So then if they get to Saturday and they haven't done their mileage, then, Saturday is the catch-up day, right? Even if it's raining. So activity is much more trackable than time, because time is a non-renewable resource. And once it's passed, once those seconds, minutes, hours, days are gone, you don't get them back. But you can put activities into your life and commit to doing those. You'll see results quicker. So that's a time hack, if you will, an activity hack that I found. For many people say, well, how did you become so successful? I was like, really, I just called 5 people a day, every business day, and have done that for 17, 18 years. So it's really that simple, and yet that hard, because most people are, they lose momentum or energy for the long haul on that. But it's like, once you've set the habit, it's called automaticity. People that study habits, that like flossing your teeth or brushing your teeth, it is an automatic. So the idea is that those things you want in your life, make them automatic activities.
That's the key, activities. Because what I'm hearing is, and from my own experience, making it a thing. It feels heavy, so you don't want to do. You have like a resistance towards it.
Yes, it is.
When you make it anything else other than an activity, right? And it's so powerful what you just said, and I hope the real estate agents who are listening to you have caught what you just said. You have become successful over these years by making an activity of calling 5 people per day. 5. She didn't go into the office and dialed for 5 hours. She made the activity 5 people per day. And that is so powerful, Karen. Really powerful.
And you can track it. So obviously that is a key component of activity blocking rather than time blocking, because you can't really track the time. So, and the other reason why I came up with activity blocking, our daughter, when she was young, had learning disabilities, and she would go to the tutor and she would use up that hour and in my view got nothing done, right? So we tried another tutor who did more of what she called a homework club, and you went till you did your homework. So all of Callie's strategies to resist doing it, right, which is what you're talking about, the resistance strategies where people are almost self-defeating, that goes away, because if you made a commitment to doing those activities, then that commitment is a positive self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely. Karen, thank you so much for joining us today. I know we're at the end of our time together, but I want to thank you again for sharing such great information. I mean, I was writing up a storm, and I'm definitely going back to listen to this one because I could definitely use some of the strategies you've offered here with us today. Do you want to tell our audience about the free gift that you have to offer them?
Yeah, so there's the gift of the 7-day quick start for those of you that are wanting to get into productivity through the real estate success in 5 minutes a day. I think I also gave a couple of gifts about the flip time love life, as well as the 66-day calendar, because the commit to get leads, a lot of research has been done on what the number of days it takes to build a habit, create a habit in 66 days is the most common. Although, like I said, truly the idea of building a habit is it's for life, but this is a great way to jumpstart. So, and then if people want to reach me, everything is pretty much under the number 5 Minute Success. So we have the podcast, the website, the Facebook, and you can get the books there or on Amazon.
Yeah, that's awesome. Karen, thank you again. And audience, please take advantage of Karen's offers. These are going to be life changing. You can implement these strategies into any area of your life, not just business. You can implement it into, if you want to build a relationship, make it an activity calendar instead of when you feel like you must do this and you must do that. If you make it an activity, it feels a little bit lighter and you're more apt to implement it in your life and build the relationships that you want. So take advantage of Karen's offers and stay connected with her, listen to her podcast, and reach for her when you need. Karen, thank you again. I really enjoyed our talk together today, and I hope that we are able to do more stuff together. And audience, stay tuned. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye, Karen.